This is Clarence Mason, and I'm with the Revelation Gospel Ministries. It's the ministry that we're starting online. You can go to our site now. We're building it now as we speak. RevelationGospelMinistries.org. Place for Christians to gather and be able to come into any aspect of your life. I don't think there's any place you cannot bring God. And as a godly man, I have an opinion on everything. So we don't believe that you are strong enough. We don't believe no man out there is strong enough to separate God from anything. And we bring every opinion, every discussion to the foot of the cross, and we obey what the cross says. We obey what Jesus says do. So that's how we look at everything: political, social, economical, culturally. That's what it is. Today I talked to a colleague of mine, another minister, and he's a good guy. He's a matter of fact, he's a relative of mine, and we're talking about politics. And he said, "So Mason, what's the best person for Joe Biden to have as his vice president? Who should he choose? Who's the most compatible person to run as vice president with him?" And I said, "Satan." He said, "What? What?" I said, "Satan." That man laughed for 10 minutes. He laughed, said, "There's nothing going to beat that answer." That's the answer, folks. Satan. Who else? What policies does Joe Biden adhere to? What policies does he prescribe that's not satanic? He wants to kill babies. He wants to take from one person and give to somebody else. He wants to destroy your business. He wants churches to be non-essential. And he wants liquor stores and Planned Parenthood to be essential. What is it about Joe Biden that's not evil? What is it about the Democratic platform that's not evil? What is it they stand for? And so we talked about that. And folks, the problem is not Joe Biden. The problem is not the Democratic Party. The problem is the church. The problem is that the church is no longer the church. We're no longer taking leadership. We are obeying the government instead of the government obeying us. We have pastors that are unsaved in the pulpit, entertaining the people of God, tickling their ears, but nobody is taking a stance on politics because we are afraid to lose your tax exempt status. You're afraid you might not get that other dollar bill in your collection plate. You're more afraid of government regulating you than of God who's ruling you. And that's the problem in America. If Christians went to the polls and voted as a Christian on every issue, the church will control the government. Instead, the government is controlling the church. And that's why we're weak, and that's why we're mourning, and that's why we're miserable and scared. You have the church now allowing the government to tell it cannot open up its doors. The church cannot open the doors up. And everyone's afraid of each other now. We can't even talk to each other now. We can't even go around each other now. We have too many people in church too busy worried about the government. I tell you, large pastors, run your deacon board for the school board. Run your deacon board for the city council. Take over your church, stand in the pulpit, and proclaim the word of God over everything, including political decisions. Hand out a voter guide and explain the issues. Invite the politicians to come into your church during election season and give their testimony. And let your deacon question them in front of your members. Question them about how they feel about every issue. Every issue. Come on, church. God got this. How about the pastor standing up in City Hall and said that's ungodly? Instead of saying that's immoral, that's ungodly. Let's start doing that. Because if you stand up for God, God will stand up for you. This is Mason. Stay right or be left. See you at the top.